20 myths about sex that you should stop believing. 3 hours of lovemaking is terribly exhausting, and a real orgasm doesn't always make you scream like in adult movies. Myth number 1. Does size matter? While you're reading this sentence, somewhere in the world a few men have already Googled how to enlarge your penis at home. But you and I know what's what. The arithmetic average length of the male penis in an erect state around the world is 13.1 centimeters. This data was announced by the staff of the urology journal BJU International. Some have more, some have less. The point is, there is no ideal framework under which you have to fit. In this case, no unique exercises, miracle pills and self-humiliation will not help. We have what we have. How the only way to increase the penis, surgery. But you know what? According to women, is much more important than the size of the penis. Know how to use it. Myth number 2. Masturbation is bad for your health. If you masturbate too much, you might go blind, your palms might get hairy, and you might become impotent. Sounds like a death sentence. But how are things really? Masturbation is a perfectly normal sexual activity that has no effect on finger hair growth, penis enlargement or penis curvature. For women, in turn, there is no decrease in sexual desire from regular self-satisfaction. It is just an additional way to get sexual pleasure. However, too frequent masturbation does have a negative effect on your life. We're not talking about those neglected cases where a person doesn't leave the apartment 24 hours a day because porn videos won't watch themselves. Rather, we are talking about the possible negative impact of 18+ movies on your relationship with your partner, as well as the formation of the wrong perception of sex in real life. You can read about this, by the way, in our article. Myth number 3. Any orgasm blows the roof off and is the main goal of sex. Here comes that long-awaited moment of true enlightenment, the orgasm. That's what it's all about. After all, only a real man, a professional with years of experience and even the womanizer can bring the girl to orgasm. And if not, in fact, not every sex necessarily ends with an orgasm, and the orgasm, in turn, is not always like in the movies. A woman's orgasm is a rather unpredictable thing. So the next time, instead of trying by hook or by crook, you can just close your eyes and enjoy the moment. Myth number 4. There is a correlation between the size of your penis and the size of your nose, palms and feet. There is no scientifically proven evidence that penis size has anything to do with shoe, palm or foot size. Men with size 45 feet, sorry. Myth number 5. The taste of semen depends on a man's food preferences. It is believed that if a man likes meat with blood or citrus fruits, his sperm will be sour. Constantly consumes pineapple juice, the taste will become sweeter. But you will have to get rid of alcohol, coffee and cigarettes. These substances supposedly make sperm more bitter or salty. However, all these popular ideas about the effects associated with the consumption of certain products, not proven by science. Many urologists assure, the taste of seminal fluid is unchanged, because its composition includes the exact mixture of components necessary to maintain the activity of sperm. So no pineapple juice will turn your semen into pina colada? Such is life. Myth number 6. Sex the first time is always painful. Blood, tears, and disappointment in sex, and everything started out so well. But the reason for a painful first time is not a damage to the hymen, as many believe. Tearing of the vaginal tissue due to a lack of lubrication, coupled with the inexperience of the partner and the stress as a result, leads to pain during the first sex. Severe pain is not the norm. Patience is not helpful in such a case. Any painful sex that is not related to the inexperience or indiscretion of the partner is a reason to see a specialist. So, less nerves and hurry, more attention to each other, and the first time will not be the last. Myth number 7. Interrupted intercourse protects against pregnancy. From quotes from great fathers, I'll make it. That may well be. But what if you don't? Is it worth the risk? Terminated intercourse has never been an effective method of contraception, because some sperm is released at the beginning of sex. You can find a complete guide to the world of birth control here. Myth number 8. Men think about sex every 7 seconds. Not really. In 2011, researchers from Ohio University conducted an experiment that found, on average, men think about sex 19 times a day, while women think about sex 10 times. The study included 163 women and 120 men. In general, The number of thoughts about intimacy does not depend on gender, but on a person's attitude towards sexual activity. Myth number 9. Does having sex burn a lot of calories? Another myth. In fact, the number of burned calories depends on the duration of sexual intercourse. And if you lose 21 calories in 6 minutes, on the average, then in 12 minutes, already 42. Not bad, but you won't be able to lose weight that way. And you really wanted to lose weight. Myth number 10. Sex can cause a heart attack? It's exactly the opposite. Men who have sex once a month are at greater risk of heart disease than those who have regular sex twice a week. As for the dangers of sex for people with cardiovascular disease, it is too exaggerated. The physical strain on the heart during sex is quite comparable to other strains we face during a normal day. Body condition during sexual intercourse can be compared to climbing stairs on several floors. Heart rate rises to 110-130 beats per minute, systolic blood pressure, to 150-180 mm of mercury column. Such figures did not pose a serious danger to patients with cardiovascular diseases. Myth number 11. Can sex in certain positions affect the sex of the child? Different poses affect only to get more pleasure from the partners. Only one thing can affect the sex of a child: the presence or absence of a Y chromosome. In the 21st century, there are many ways to find out the sex of the baby during pregnancy. For example, blood tests, amniocentesis or ultrasound. No guesswork, only accurate and verified information. Myth number 12. All sexually transmitted infections manifest immediately. Chlamydia, gonorrhea, and herpes are just 3 common diseases that don't show any symptoms for a long time. Not every infection is obvious right away. It's not always easy to spot. You should see a professional immediately if you suspect you have a disease. The best way to prevent STDs is a condom, but it is not always available at hand. In this case, a number of antiseptics, which you can find in every pharmacy, chlorhexidine, myrismine, desmestine, comes to the rescue. Warned, is armed. Do not neglect your own safety, even for the best sex of your life. Myth number 13. People don't masturbate when they're in a permanent relationship. Both male and female masturbation are completely individual things. So, in fact, is a serious relationship. You can date for a long period of time but not live together. Does that mean you or your partner won't masturbate? Not at all. It all depends solely on your habits and level of sex drive. But some couples, for example, engage in joint masturbation, claiming that it builds their trust, as well as bringing each other closer together. Either way, it's everyone's personal choice. Myth number 14. Will sprinkling after sex save you from an unwanted pregnancy? Washing or sprinkling right after unprotected intercourse is not a bad idea in general, but its implementation certainly will not save you from an unwanted pregnancy. But contraceptives can. Myth number 15. Women take sex more seriously than men? In the book What Do Women Want? The Science of the Nature of Female Sexuality, acclaimed journalist Daniel Bergner points out that women are comfortable with sex without any emotional attachments, and want it just as much as men do. The problem is that because of social pressure, fear of judgment and the unpleasant label of girl of easy virtue, ladies are more difficult to show sexual interest in the opposite sex. Myth number 16. Frequent change of partners leads to depression? Depression after sex can occur if there was one before it. In this case, the number of partners does not play any role. The only thing that is affected by frequent changes in sexual intercourse is an increased risk of getting a sexually transmitted infection. Also, you should not confuse depression with postcoital dysphoria, which is characterized by the state of sadness, irritability and apathy that occurs after sex. But in this case, too, the number of partners has no effect on anything. Myth number 17. Oysters and chocolate increase sexual arousal. There is no scientifically proven evidence to support this fact. However, oysters resemble some intimate parts of the body in their appearance, which may cause arousal. Chocolate, in turn, stimulates the production of mood-enhancing serotonin, and people in a good mood have sex more often. But this does not mean that these products are guaranteed to be aphrodisiacs for absolutely everyone. Myth number 18. Do you have to take your socks off during sex? The next time you see him wearing those totally unsexy wool socks again, know this: The probability of having an orgasm is higher when your feet are warm. So feel free to wear socks with him. Wild passion is guaranteed. Myth number 19. The longer the better. Artists can go all night, but how long can you orgasm? A completely individual process. To some people 10 minutes to get it, while for others it will not be enough and several hours. Also, getting an orgasm is not the main purpose of sex, because much more important is a qualitative process. And if during intercourse one of you is already starting to yawn from boredom or experiencing painful sensations, it is time to stop. Myth number 20. You cannot have sex during your period. There is absolutely no contraindication against having sex during your period. If the partners are fine with it, then why not? Moreover, sex during your period helps some girls cope with the pain. However, this does not mean that you cannot use a condom. Critical days did not protect you from unwanted pregnancy or sexually transmitted diseases.